just try and...
We just,
we'll both do an
chat
intro.
naturally anyway.
Yeah, and then we'll segue into an intro. Each one of us can take it.
I do love a segue.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I've got to get it this way, just in case anyone thinks Ribena is sponsoring.
I was going to say, Ribena has paid us
you know,
no
it's really
money.
weird, actually, because usually I've got the headphones in to listen to the Zoom, but we've got the mic straight into the cameras this time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really weird to actually just hear you normally in a room.
Yeah, and not just be trying to, like,
Otherwise I
monitor
can
all
usually
that
hear
stuff.
what noise your teeth are making against each other.
I didn't know those were there.
No, it doesn't, don't worry.
Okay, good. I was going to say, tell me like 70 podcasts in. Like, you absolute knobhead. Just like, do you know you grind your teeth every time you're not talking? No, that's not going on, I don't think.
No, it's not, don't worry.
No. I'll get a haircut.
I'd tell you otherwise.
Yeah, that's
I'd be
true.
like, shut the f***
I heard
up.
it as well, because it took long enough to get used to listening to our own voices just to edit these things, so
well,
I'm
it's for
finally
you.
at the point.
Yeah, I've got like
Oh yeah,
three
loves himself, so no trouble.
I'm also a textbook narcissist, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I'm arrogant, you're a narcissist. We've got it down between us.
Together we are the perfect bad
Together we are the
boy.
film club. And wow, there it is!
Oh, shit.
There's the segue. That's how you do this.
Oh,
I was about to go straight in. Also, we should mention, because it's going to be hilarious to just watch us get increasingly hot and sweaty, because right now we're in our office. It's like a greenhouse. There's just glasses, like wind glasses.
Cool to say our office.
Yeah, I know, it's nice, isn't it? There's windows everywhere, and we've got like, normally the AC, everything's blasting, but
yeah, we'll have to turn it off for sound purposes. And
because we're
I
committed.
think in the future I'm gonna have to put a bag of ice on my bollocks because
It's off screen.
Have you ever done that before?
No, I haven't.
Not a bag, but like a singular ice cube.
Just stick an ice cube down your pants.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Have you done it with anyone else?
That's true. Oh, well, it wasn't an ice cube. Moving on. You ruined my segue.
Okay.
I was going to try to introduce the whole podcast. Now we're talking
really
about
well, and now we're talking about ice cubes
molesting
in the
people.
bollocks.
Apparently.
Hi guys. I'm Matt.
I'm Adil.
And we are the Film Club. We talk about films and stuff.
Yeah, so like basically just to take you through the structure of what we're doing with this podcast, we're going to start off, we're going to take turns giving some kind of quickish news stories, just what's going on in the kind of film world, have some chats about what we think the kind of implications that of those might be in the long term. Then we've got a film that each week we recommend and then watch together. So this week the film was Scarface, which I picked.
And it was great.
Cool. So we'll get in a kind of a lot more detail about that a little bit down the way. And then we've got a couple of different kind of features or games we're going to start playing. So they're going to be called rewrites. So in this one, with Scarface as the example, it'll be recasting Al Pacino.
I've got some really fun ones.
I know, we're both pretty excited. Because this is the other thing. Is one of them is just a straight recasting, which is pretty kind of, it's a bit more of a straightforward game. Whereas the other one's kind of, we get to have a bit more fun with it, where we move over, replacing characters from other films or series.
Also, if you ever watch it and you have a better idea than us, let us know.
Yeah.
We want to know. We want to build a film community because we love films and we want to talk about films with more people than just us.
Yeah.
Because we have this thing where, because we want to talk about stuff on the podcast, we're just talking in person normally, and we're like, nope, we can't talk about it. We've got to save it for the podcast.
Yeah, and then we sit down to do the podcast and every thought just flies straight out of your head. I'm sat here like, have I even seen the film? But no, we sat down together like 2 days. We sat through it. We went through Scarface. I picked it because I thought it's one of those kind of, there's a lot of those gangster 70s films that's kind of seen the golden age of cinema. Scarface is one that was a lot of controversy at the time it came out, and it's still kind of been one of those that I think it's one of those kind of cinephile cool opinions to have, to think Scarface isn't very good and kind of slag off Scarface.
I don't know where they're coming with that because I really liked it. I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought it would. And I don't know if that was just because like hearing things.
So what did you know about it beforehand? Like, did you have much?
Not much. I just knew Al Pacino was in it and it was about drugs and crime and stuff. Which, I love drugs and crime and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was just funny because especially while we were watching it as well, it's interesting because we've kind of got to the point where, especially when we're together watching films, it's not so much the kind of, it's hard to just fully lose yourself in what's going on. We end up just kind of watching for little camera tricks and editing and how they transition and a lot of stuff like that. Which
we did during this film, but we were still a lot more vested in the story than what we would normally do if it was a shitter film.
Yeah, exactly. Because normally we're just like unpacking everything and I'd like you can pretty much a lot of films you can see where everything's going by the way it's being set up initially.
Yeah.
But this is a lot more interesting in terms of from a filmmaking perspective. Really, it's very of its time, is what we thought. Like it's certainly dated.
Definitely.
But
Speaking of filmmaking,
go on.
Shall we go
segue.
into some film news?
Oh yeah, I forgot we do film news first. I forgot this whole thing I just explained 10 minutes ago. No, yeah, okay. Do you want to give me the first piece of film news?
Okay. Well, I've got a few that kind of bundle together, because there was more of a bigger question I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a Chicken Run sequel coming out, which apparently, when they announced it, was 20 years to the day that the film came out that they're announcing there's a sequel for. So I was like, okay, I like Chicken Run. I think it's a good film. That's cool. There's a Twister reboot coming, apparently. Don't know if you'd seen that one or
I haven't
not.
seen it, but I know of it.
But it's,
it was like a spate of those kind of films around that time.
Yes, and that was one of the bigger ones that just kind of jumped out. Everyone was like, "Ooh, Twister!" And then, there's another sequel in the works, Sonic the Hedgehog.
To the one that's just came out.
To the one that's just come out, yeah. Now, the Sonic thing isn't really in this because obviously that's just kind of come out. But the bigger question I kind of had is like, why are Hollywood running out of ideas? Because they just seem to be rebooting stuff or doing sequels to stuff that was it's like Bad Boys. Like they had 2 sequels, like in the 90s. Was it late 90s? Yeah, it was late 90s. And then it was like 2002, I think it was, and then they brought it back like 10 or 15 years later.
Yeah. It's something we've talked about a lot, isn't it? It's one of the main kind of conversations at the front.
You know, I just did in my head.
For years. Yep.
When I was like late 90s, and then I said 2002. I completely just swapped it for Men in Black. But then
I was going to say,
Black
I was literally going to bring
thing.
that up. It's the same example. Will Smith loves his shit franchise.
Yeah, but I was just wondering what your opinion would be on why they're running out of ideas.
I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of been a ranting point and a major discussion point around film for years. There's a million kind of things out there. I mean, I think obviously a part of it's a business point of view in terms of we know we have this IP for one. It can cost a lot of money. We know the IP works. We know this hit with an audience. And I think in terms of, there was also the kind of change we've talked about before as well, where it kind of went from being an actor is the box office and an actor can carry a film. So, Richard Gere in whatever, that's going to sell a certain amount because enough people are going to see that. Whereas like we talked about before, that's kind of not so much the landscape anymore. It's not, people don't go to watch films for actors. They go for, kind of marketing campaigns and assembled crews and characters they already feel close to, and kind of a lot of the times I think as well it can be kind of nice in terms of like with Bill and Ted, say, like that's coming out soon.
Coming out, yeah.
That can be really good for generations to kind of bond together a little bit, to be like, this was huge to me when I was a kid. And then you watch it with your dad, you don't really get it, but you think it's all right, a bit goofy, and then a new one comes out where they've tried to reframe a new world. And I don't know, I think I'm trying to put a positive light on it, because it feels like a little bit one of those cliched rants is the whole, there's no original independent kind of films being made anymore.
Okay.
So I think there is opportunity out there. I think right now as well, with the whole kind of coronavirus cinema situation, it's kind of even more up in the air, but I think that could help original projects, because again, Netflix, Prime, streaming services are getting such a massive part of the market, and in that case as well, they basically, seems to be the plan is just, you find the creatives, you give them the money, you let them make what they're making, and I just think that's going to open itself up to a lot more kind of interesting stuff coming out.
I hope so.
Well, we've just got such an overexposure of material. Like if you think about the amount of TV channels and streaming things, and like how many thousands of TV shows is there that like, oh, I want to watch that, but I've got another 30 to watch first. Yeah. So it's just, all of this is kind of annoying when you see where the money's going, and it's like, we could be doing more interesting stuff with it. We could be pushing kind of, more fringe cinema and more kind of protected groups and stuff. But there is enough kind of money to go around. It's kind of on the audience now for us to seek out this stuff, I think. If it's working and making money, then they're going to keep making it from a business point of view. Yeah. So, I don't know, it's kind of a long answer without answering anything, but it's one of those, I kind of, after being something I've ranted about for a long time, I'm trying to pull back a little bit and take more kind of, just, it's on us to kind of find what we like. There's so much out there that there will be something for you. It's kind of just...
I think it's more, the problem is nowadays, you've got to find it.
Mhm.
Like, it's already out there. It's already been done. It's just actually trying to find where it is.
That's our lives are kind of ruled by algorithms. Like me and my brother have just been going through Netflix and Prime the last few days, and you flick through for hours in a week, and you see this. You keep seeing the same things, and I'm like, I know you've got X thousands in your database. Like, there's probably some amazing films that are just not getting pushed at all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just as scary as the whole Disney Vault stuff as well, because it's just like they're just getting, buried, not deliberately, but just through sheer like, well, we need to push the more recent stuff. This stuff needs to make its money back, all that kind of stuff. So there's kind of a lot of different concerns about it, but I just take it from the point of view as a consumer, and just there's more we've got out there than ever before. So
on the spot moment. I don't know how that's going to turn out for the audio. I'm really sorry.
You're going to catch me off
I was going to try to, yeah. If you were going to reboot 3 things right now, what would you reboot and why?
Okay, I like this. I can think of this.
And are there some things that can't be rebooted? For example, the first thing I thought of was Pulp Fiction. And I was like, I wouldn't want to touch that with a barge
I was going to say, absolutely.
because that needs to kind of stay as it is. But then it's again, like, how would you make it different? Would you do it exactly the same way? Like, if you were going to redo it,
if I was
who would you
redo
put in it?
Again, I probably wouldn't mess with Pulp Fiction. I like the vignette element. Again, I think as well, part of the stuff with these films is they don't, like, if they're still a kind of cultural talking point, like people slag off the Bruce Willis and his girlfriend section of Pulp Fiction, but
I like that.
Again,
I think because I like it all.
Well, again, if they remade it, they would just get rid of that. But
you think?
Yeah. But to me, or at least the girlfriend. People hate the girlfriend. But to me, it's just I like the original, interesting ones. It's odd you said that question, and weird stuff popped straight in my head.
Okay,
the first 2 films, I don't know why that went in my head.
Yeah.
Are Like Mike, which was Like Mike and Gael. I don't know why, but I think I'm kind of thinking again. Maybe it's because
I reckon they could do a lot better with football stuff.
I was going to say it's football stuff. It's also my little brothers have been, there's been things like Artemis Fowl has just come out. Alex Rider on Prime. Alex Rider apparently was pretty good, but again, it's just like with my little brothers and kind of they're all logged into my streaming stuff, constantly looking for stuff that's out there. I just think there's a lot of it's kind of just irritatingly bad, or kind of like uninterestingly made, and then. I don't know, like maybe I've never really considered it before because I've never wanted to make films for kids. Like that's not really me, making kind of young person oriented stuff.
Yeah.
But like those were the 2 that I was like, I could have a lot of, like, maybe I'm just thinking about what would be fun for me and I would just have a great time filming those things.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
No, those 2. Maybe a serious one as well. You give me one and I'll think of like a proper one.
See, one of the first things that popped into my head was Star Wars, and I was like, well, they kind of did that with Force Awakens, like the original Star Wars, I mean.
Yeah.
So maybe the prequels, and if they addressed all the stuff that people thought were bad about them, because I feel like a prequels one with the CGI from today would be pretty good. Plus, they're over, like, the first one, like, The Phantom Menace is over 20 years old now.
The thing is, though, I think they're so planned out with the move ahead with these other kind of elements of this universe and just leave that buried in the we don't talk about it history. So I really don't see them touching those. I just keep them continuing to move in different timelines.
That was just more for me because like I'd love to kind of see like the pod racing and stuff.
The pod racing was great, but I would just use it in a different element. Like I would bring it up in. They've got so many different strands of Star Wars to show it. So Star Wars would be way down my list.
I wish they went into the whole Knights of Old Republic sort of stuff, or even the Force Unleashed. I'd love to see those those 2 games made as like a 3-quel film. Would be amazing.
Yeah.
What else would come into my head? Deep Blue Sea.
I haven't seen that one. But I know not to think that much of it.
What else would be rebooted that I think would be good? Oh, you know what would be terrible? Shrek.
Oh, that wouldn't be... Yeah, that wouldn't go well. I feel like they couldn't... A lot of what was good about Shrek was the music cues. And I feel like they couldn't really do those any better.
Especially Shrek 2. Do
you know what I'd actually reboot?
What?
Oh, actually, I don't think I would.
Whoa.
Well, what I think... Have you seen On the Waterfront?
No.
It's a Marlon Brando film from the 50s where he plays like he's kind of an ex-boxer. There's a union kind of stuff. There's some gangster elements, but it's a lot to do with just he can't really find his place in the world, and he's kind of it's the film that one of the ones that entrenched him as like one of the most kind of visible stars out there. And I think a lot of those kind of themes in that film to do with like kind of labor and a lot of like what a man is, what masculinity is, like what we should be aiming for, could kind of come back through again and be in kind of an interesting way. And it's also just a film that I'm a bit sad seems to have been kind of relegated to history a bit again, and just certain stuff has, seemingly by chance, has the chance to kind of pop and just continually to be relevant, and certain stuff just kind of falls away. And On the Waterfront seems to have been more on the falling away side. But I think it's massively worth people's time. And also just watching early Brando, because a lot of people haven't really seen early Brando, like Streetcar Named Desire and stuff like that. This is a separate discussion now, I've just realised.
I was going to say, because, like,
you can't have
early Brando back.
But I mean, just in contrast, like, with what he could show you and put into these roles, it just has so much kind of, there's so much, like, cachet there for somebody else to step in and be like, look, I've seen it done as good as anybody could do any performance. So it's such a good spark. And like, if I was an actor, I know some of them don't want to watch this kind of stuff, but to me that would be like, I would want to see that kind of performance beforehand than just to kind of, you know, understand how to root the performance in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've got one more reboot, sorry.
Go on.
And it's not now. I want to see it rebooted in 20 years' time.
Okay.
And I know you're going to disagree with it, but
Go on.
Go on, what do you think?
No, I knew I was going to disagree with what you were saying.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was going to be.
See, there's two parts of me, because it's like, I definitely don't want it being touched, because it's classic. But then there's another bit of me that's like, it could look absolutely amazing. And it'd be the whole Harry Potter series.
I think I'm kind of just soured on it now, so maybe I'm just not as invested. Like, I liked it when I was a kid, I read the books, and then I kind of grew out of them. Like everybody should have. I don't know, because, like, also, other than the actual Harry Potter, that cast is as good. Like, it's every iconic race. So it's like, because who's the now generation to be the equivalent
That's
of those
why I
roles?
said 20 years.
There's no, but that's what I mean. Because, like, in order to be the age of the McGonagalls and Dumbledores and shit, it would be people now who are 20s, 30s, 40s, British actors.
Then
There's
again,
not a single one I can think who's comparative. Like,
yeah, but they've
who
got
is it,
20
the guy
years
from the Bodyguard?
to prove you.
But no one's shown anything compared to any of those
Yeah, but they've got
people.
20 years to prove that if they were going to do that, so you wouldn't know yet.
But I mean, because there was enough signs early enough. I'm just saying there might well be some of these people who kind of move on in a big way. But, like, you tell me who would play Dumbledore who's 40 now. Like Jude Law, he's already doing it.
He's already doing it.
Terrible. So I haven't seen that, so I shouldn't say it's terrible. I'm just no better. No, I couldn't. It would just be a like real money grabby thing. But I'm also curious to see whether Harry Potter even hits with the next generation, because J.K. Rowling has been so corrupted by like everything she's done since.
Yeah,
I feel like
people would even like. Do you see
if I
that
had
story
kids,
about the 4 writers who just resigned and left the thingy that she owns or something because they didn't want anything to do with her?
Don't blame them. She's a psychopath. I mean, good for her. She came from nowhere, but she should have shut up as soon as she had money.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to some of the last bits of film news and stuff, because I just realised we've not even touched on your film news yet.
I know, yeah, we just had yours. I've got a few small ones. One I think is really interesting, which I hadn't seen about before, is the first film starring an AI actor, entirely AI generated, is going to come out in...
What?
Yeah, it's called B. They're putting up 70 million euros, and it stars Erica, an AI actress.
What?
The movie tells a story of a
Why didn't you go first?
What? Could you... I mean, I didn't realise yours...
If I had that news, I'd have been like, you shut the up, I'm going to tell you something.
I mean, that's everything I say. I have to push that instinct down constantly. No, she says...
That's awesome.
Yeah, the scientist who discovers the dangers of a human DNA perfecting program he created and sets out to help Erica, who's the AI, escape from it. They've taught the robot to act, applying the principles of method acting to the artificial intelligence.
What?
Yeah, so method acting...
This is going to be dope.
I know. In other methods of acting, actors involve their own life experiences in the role, but Erica has no life experiences. She was created from scratch to play the role, so we had to simulate her motions and emotions through one-on-one sessions, such as controlling the speed of her movement, talking through her feelings, and coaching character development and body language. They just raised this program to be an actor.
This thing's going to take over the earth.
Apparently some scenes were already shot in Japan in 2019, but the movie expects to go into full production next year, 2021.
Oh my god.
So the director, all of that stuff's going to be announced in the next kind of month.
That's instantly the thing I'm most looking forward to in life.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Wow.
I don't know if... I don't know. Again, it's one of those that, like, from a moral point of view, because then you do that, and then you've also got the element of, like, actors who are now dead being kind of animated and brought back to life in films, kind of. Because there's one thing to
that's
the
like the next stage. I feel like the stage after that would be then applying that AI to watching old films, say of like James Dean, so they can pick up the exact movement and know exactly how to do that person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's exactly,
it's really dangerous.
It's also odd because you're the grandkid, you got the estate, and it's like, okay, if your granddad wrote a book, you can say whether it gets published, made into a movie, whatever. That seems okay to me. But to say that you have the right to say your ancestor, like, you can actually make them like a live performance, that just feels weird to me from like a kind of legal and a kind of just a moral point of view. Like, I wouldn't want anybody doing that with me after I'm dead. Like, buried, no more saying I don't want any articles about me.
Depends how good you were in the film.
I suppose so. It's also
if they made me like Oscar worthy, they'd be like, yeah, go for it.
It's good editor, innit? That's all it takes. Just like our facts all podcast. It's an interesting thing. Cool. It's a different world because I really thought they'd be doing it with the existing actors before they got to a full AI creation. But they're fairly
maybe they're having the same conversation where it's like maybe we shouldn't do it with, which is strange for scientists to not really kind of go down that path, or artists to go down that path.
By the way, do you know who's going to direct it? Just a weird side point. It was going to be the guy who, do you know American History X?
Tony Kaye. I thought you were going to tell me Edgar Wright.
No, Tony Kaye, who was the one who had the whole arguments with Edward Norton and tried to get himself taken off as director. Yeah, it was going to be his film. She was already being trained for one of his films, and then they did it with this bag thing. They're just trying to get SAG recognition. Because the Academy have to change their inclusion rules to include a robot. But then do you have, like, robot Oscars? Like, then who wins, the robot or the company that did it? Or the editor and the director? Like, you know what I mean? Who actually gets credit? This is a weird world we live in. We'll have to think about these kind of things. Do you have another bit of film news you want to go with?
Yeah, I had two more. One that was, even though I should have said it in the other one, but I didn't want to include it in the discussion, is that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel starts production, because I like that film. Yeah. So I didn't want to put it in the other thing. And then there were two things about Edgar Wright. I don't know if you had any Edgar Wright stuff.
I didn't see the news, but I saw it, but I didn't bring it up for now.
Okay, so I can't remember if he's directing this one or if he just has a thingy, but Edgar Wright confirms new Last Night in Soho release date, and it's his first psychological horror.
That, yeah.
He is directing that.
He's been doing that for a few years.
Okay, cool. And then there was another one that he's directing, a kidnap thriller called The Chain. And they're both like a psychological horror and a kidnap thriller. I haven't seen him do anything like that, so really interested to see where he kind of goes with that sort of stuff.
I'm really glad. It looks like it seems like he hasn't done anything for a while, but it looks like we're going to kind of get a spate of things maybe in like a 2-year period. Like we'll get 3 films in 2 years or something.
Which will be
I'm
anything.
very happy with that.
It's a much better world.
Massive Edgar Wright fans.
Come on the show.
Just yell at him. Edgar, be good.
There's a space for you right here. Yeah. Right here.
Just ignore how like hot and like sweating.
We'll get you a fan.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. We'll get a silent fan just for you. One of those Dyson ones.
We'll get the company to buy one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on those kind of films where you'd see him going? Do you think he'll get the same sort of cast back?
I'm not sure. I mean, he's kind of got a very specific, his visual style and the kind of storyboarding element and everything being planned in advance is kind of very specifically known for him now. So I'm curious to see whether he tries to depart from any of those and do something a bit more kind of, improvisational or a bit looser. I'd be curious to see because he's very much eked out a corner for himself and kind of just owns that. So it'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on his career as he goes, especially with the fact that he's writing this stuff too. He's clearly a great collaborator and has kind of worked with people a long time. And he was where he was in England. He lived in, I think it was Tarantino's guest house, but might not have been his. But like when he first went to America. But basically, it's just he is doing a really good job of just making the right kind of connections. And he had the whole Ant-Man debacle, kerfuffle.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm really hopeful for him being kind of a shining light up there for us in the next. I feel a lot better actually. I think about young directors than I do about young actors. I feel like we've got a good spate of like under 35 under 40 directors.
When you say we, just like as in film in general.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant it like us
Not
from
me,
like being English.
No, I'm just thinking general.
Because like Taika Waititi, I'm really excited to kind of see where he goes with stuff as well at the moment.
Ryan Coogler, you've got
even
David
Nolan.
Chazelle.
Like I know he's older now, but like he's still coming up with stuff like Tenet at the moment.
Segue. Don't set my segue. Did you see the Tenet news?
That it's been delayed.
News. It's just been delayed. It's another week. August 12th. So we'll see if this keeps happening forever.
Yeah.
We're both super excited about it. We love Nolan. We love weird shit.
I can't wait for this.
I know.
It's the first time, like, apart from Avengers, which I won't really count because it's not a like, for me, it was more kind of like a payoff of all the stuff that I kind of love, so it wasn't really like a cinematic sort of thing in the same way that this is. Like, this is a film I'm really interested in, and it looked like there's a difference between the two, and I know you've got an even bigger disparity between the two.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, though. I know exactly what you mean. It's like not so much the experience. It's more like this is just, as a piece of media, like a piece of art, you're just super curious to see what experience, like what you've got ahead of you. Yeah, I get that. I'm very much down to see that one too.
I don't have any other news, by the way, so if you've got anything,
one
just
quick one, which I think is semi-interesting. Kind of along the Marvel lines of thinking, actually, because there's a bit of a Nick Fury. And I just closed the tab. Good work, me. There's kind of a Nick Fury,
Nick Fury.
With, have you heard about Michael Keaton? So,
yes.
The Flash movie, 2022.
He's going to be bringing Batman back.
Exactly.
Which is I like all the stuff they're doing with the Flash, even though I'm not following it. Like I've seen a couple of episodes of it, and it's probably something I would get into. I just can't be bothered at this point because there's so many episodes to catch up on. Mm-hmm. And that they ended up just doing anything they wanted with it, and they started doing kind of wackier stuff, and then they started doing like the Infinite Crisis, which is like mixture of different universes. So that's the reason why they've had like Brendan Routh come on and do like Superman, and there's like a load of other characters from other things.
They're just fully going for the multiverse.
Yeah, and like Keaton coming into it is really interesting because that's like, you know, again, like another big film sort of thing coming into that whole idea of the universe stuff. So
a little bit of a middle finger to Affleck as well. But
well, Affleck would never come back to it, I don't think. Even
kind
for
of
something like this.
Forth. He's been talking a little bit more recently.
I reckon that's literally just. I bet they've just added another zero to his paycheck, possibly. And he's like, "I'll talk a bit more about it."
I think it's to do with the Snyder Cut. I think he's trying to save his legacy a bit because he's talked about it since. People were like, "Why did he go for Batman? Like he was doing so well." It was just not going to work. And he's talked about it since as looking at it like kind of a little bit like a sports thing where he's like, I just wanted to have the most insane run I possibly could, where I went from like, you know, directing Argo, The Town, Gone Baby Gone, was that it? Yeah, whatever. And kind of Gone Girl and stuff. He just had this insane one. He was just like, I just thought I couldn't miss. And obviously it did semi-miss, but again, he wasn't the element of it that was bad.
Yeah, because I thought he was the shining light in that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was looking forward to his own Batman thing, and then obviously that all fell down the pan, and then they rebooted it into this other thing, and he's not part of it anymore. And it's like, well, could it give it more of a go? Like, because he wasn't in. Well, I suppose he was the star of Justice League, but that was such a miss. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about this. I still don't know about this. I think it's kind of
working out to everybody's benefit here, because if he wants to pop up every now and again, that's fine. If he doesn't ever again, that's cool as well. Like, you blame Snyder, you move on with your career, you're doing fine. He's going out with Ana de Armas.
I don't know who that is, but I can tell from your face that's a good thing.
Have you seen the new Blade Runner?
I've seen trailers.
It's the big billboard girl. She's the new Bond girl as well, No Time to Die.
She's the one with the pink hair?
Black dress, yeah. The pink hair in the Blade Runner one, yeah.
Okay, good for him.
Anyway, yeah, side point. Fuck you, man. No, I mean, that's all my real film news this week. Obviously, it's all kind of... we don't want to linger on it, but everything's kind of dominated by the whole cinemas coming back, how's it going to work type thing, but nobody already knows. There's no point us just talking more shit when, again, no one who's meant to know knows, so what are we going to know? So we'll just talk about stuff we're excited about coming out down the line.
Yeah, and that's mainly Tenant right now.
Yeah,
Tenet.
Basically.
I keep saying Tenant, as in like David Tennant.
Or landlord. We're not landlords.
We're not. Speaking of drug lords.
Okay. That's not
no, it's not.
Speaking of lords.
Yeah, so we'll go into our like mini sort of review of Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell the people what the story was?
Yeah, so like I watched Scarface when I was pretty young, teenager. I went through phases of watching like 3, 4 films a night for years, so nothing really sticks in my memory. I just have a little thing there from a lot of those.
It's like vague, like hazes of stuff just all over the place.
And I remember liking Scarface, not liking The Godfather that much, really liking Goodfellas, but just all of those kind of films made a real impression on me. And I wanted to go back to Scarface because I knew you hadn't seen it and what we've spoken about before. So and there's also a lot of thematic stuff in there. So Al Pacino plays a Cuban refugee who is going to the US. He tells them he's a political refugee, but really he just wants to go and make money. He's been an assassin in Cuba. I don't want to give too much specific away, but basically this is him in Miami. There's a lot to do with Miami, even though it was shot in LA.
It's just his story of him kind of coming up in the crime industry.
Mm-hmm.
And scenes unfolding from there.
Yeah, and it kind of hits on a lot of different kind of thematic stuff about, morality and ego, and there's a lot of capitalism points in there and stuff like that. Social isolation, discipline, what happens with addiction. So it's one of those films that, even though it kind of has its goofy moments and seems like kind of more of a pure entertainment vehicle, it does have, even with the political stuff as well, it's got kind of significant depth to it, which is always what I'm into. But you were the one kind of going in clean, so what did you think?
Okay, so before I kind of go into the film, there's one point I want to make, which I love the crime industry, right? Just on the face of whatever hard work you put in, you immediately get out, and you always get pushed to the top.
It's an actual meritocracy, is what it should be. Yeah.
Just any film you look at them, it's like, I'll do this one job for you, and then before you know it, you're like one of the generals in this thing, and then you do another good job, you do a good job of that, and you're at the top. And it's like, I wish all things were like this.
That's true.
That was so easy in life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not that I want to get into the crime industry.
Well, just specifically for that film, I think they do a good job navigating the time of it too, because they don't do the whole 3 months later or like.
No, they did do that.
Did they do it?
Yeah,
but as in they don't repeatedly do kind of the
they only did
montages.
It like right at the beginning, where it was just like he'd been there for like a month.
Because a lot of films that do that every 20 minutes, you're going to montage where they just do like him opening the fridge every day, like 18 shots of that, whatever it might be.
And there weren't any. I don't think there were any montages, were there?
I think there might have been one after like getting money montage when he was.
Yeah, there was. That was a good montage.
Was a good montage.
Yeah,
a good back in the day montage.
But yeah, no, I thought this was a great film. I thought it was very well acted. I can see why everyone absolutely rates Al Pacino, because I haven't really seen that many films of his. So this was maybe the first film I'd actually watched where he's like the main dude, and especially back in his prime. So I was really taken with his take on that. I love the aesthetic. Like, I felt like Miami was like a real breathing kind of character in this for some reason. Like, I don't know if it was just like the way that it was like shot or the way that they kind of like use the space, but it just felt like it was a part of, like when you watch stuff and it's like it's all about New York and everyone's like, oh, New York, and everyone who's in New York can't shut up about New York. And it's like it felt like it was just a part of everything, and it was just like a real nice feeling to it.
I was gonna say, ironically, it's not Miami as well. They couldn't shoot in Miami because there was so much protest.
It was set in Miami though, right? They said it was a thing.
They shot in LA and they tried to like dress the streets and stuff to look Miami. But they were literally afraid because during the film, like there was that much the pressure against the film, like even before it was being made, that they couldn't shoot in Miami. Because again, that whole Cuban situation was a really, really kind of tense and tenuous thing in America at that time.
It's funny how you say tense as well, just like with his performance as Tony Montana, every scene he was in, he was always on edge in some way, and that intensity that he brought to it was,
it's realistic that every moment's life or death, and it's not overdone where, like, the films do they kind of push too hard with the score and, like, annoying camera shots where they quick zoom in and they like do, just stuff where they try and give the game away. It's just very captured through his performance, like you say, like, you can just see the wheels ticking, and kind of, I've always kind of just impressed through actors of kind of like that stature and that size who can just believably portray a kind of
because he's very real, small in comparison to everyone else.
Like, he seems like a little teddy bear if he wanted to, but again, he can just crack into this thing where it's like very real, eerie kind of intimidation.
It's funny you say like just kind of the way that he is natural as well. There was a scene that you picked up when we were watching. There's a scene with him and Elvira, who's played by
Michelle
Pfeiffer. And there's a bit where they're in a car, and they seem not unnaturally out of character, but there's a bit that seems a bit out of character, but they're both just kind of having a laugh and stuff. And you clock straight away saying that I bet that was just like some sort of extra take that they added in and stuff. And it was. And there was some nice little bits like that where it's just like, yeah, we're going to add it in just because it makes it seem a bit more natural to like the whole character and the way that they develop. And I thought that was a nice touch as well. There were some surprisingly modern camera transitions that we noticed as well in this. That was a nice touch.
De Palma has a lot of swag to him.
Oh yeah, it's Brian De Palma, wasn't it? I need to watch more films of his.
There's a really interesting story actually so when he first submits the film to the MPAA, the people who do the ratings, they said it was going to be an X rating, which was obviously you kind of screwed. You can't even do it. It's above an R. He made some cuts, redid it. It got X again. Did it the third time, and it's got an X again. He refused to cut it anymore to make it an R. So they had to have a hearing with it. They got like loads of narcotics officers and stuff to say, look, this isn't exaggeration. This is an anti-drug film, and this is all accurately happening on the streets. They won by a vote of 18-2. That deserved an R rating. But then he thought, after all this, he was like, look, they're not even going to know the difference between the cut. And De Palma just submitted his first cut anyway. And that's the actual final film that got it to.
Nice.
And he only confessed after it was already on home video, months later, which again is just great.
What a baller!
I know, big fan of that. You go to that much trouble.
That makes the film even better.
That's like, do you know the story about Fight Club and Helena Bonham Carter's line?
Which line?
She says, "I haven't been like that since grade school." The line was originally. He said to the studio, the line was originally, "I want to have your abortion." And
I've heard about that.
David Fincher went to the studio, look, I'll change it, but if I change it, I'm not changing it again. Like, that's it, I'll do it once. And they were like, fine. And then he changed it to that, and they were like, please take it back. And he was like, no. Which, again, I just think it's great studio manipulation. Like, those stories kind of get me, like, I love those almost as much.
Gives you massive props to the directors and stuff.
Just, well, you got to stand your own ground. It's a big part of being a director, is kind of being a servant to the overall vision. And if you've got to argue with people and make enemies, like, I kind of, it's a weird one, but props to them for it.
Yeah. I just going a little bit more into like his character and stuff. I love seeing the way that he always had this arrogance to him, and then you see that confidence build and build as he kind of gets more successful. And also, the love story wasn't really a love story, and it was just kind of played out for what it was, and it wasn't like a big gesture at the end or anything. It was just like, this is what this situation is. These are what these two characters are like, and that's how this or will always end up like this because of who these people are.
It's transactional. It's like she's a commodity to him. She's an attachment, and like he is nothing to her. He's a keep up the lifestyle, and it's just these people kind of exist everywhere. It's one of those films that's kind of like, somehow you watch a lot of drug films, and any films with drugs, there feels like there's some kind of judgment being made. Well, again, this kind of the film, the judgment isn't made on the actual drugs or whatever themselves. It's on human nature and personalities, and if you're this kind of a person, if you're given access to increasing power, you're going to go in that direction, and this is just, and kind of you're going to be able to manipulate the world to work you this way. So I kind of really like that element of this film.
I like the dichotomy of like how it kind of romanticizes like the way of life and like the lifestyle and the industry and stuff, but how it also does the exact opposite. And it's like a really fine balance that he finds in this film, and I think it just works really well.
Yeah. That's exactly his point, is that it's not a moral judgment either way. It's a story of a life. There's just so much interesting trivia to this film as well.
Okay, you're gonna hit us up with some people. You're gonna hit us up with some trivia then.
I've kind of already gone through some. Do you know? There's a specific line where he says where Tony's in a bathtub watching TV. Some flamingos come on screen. And it says, "Look at them pelicans fly." And the reason we both were dying laughing, because obviously a pelican is not a flamingo. Do you know the reason he used that line?
Why?
Is that's the line his dialect coach gave him to practice the Cuban accent when he was learning.
Oh, really?
Look at them pelicans fly. Apparently that's just, the weird phrases that help you get into accents. So he just decided to say
that'd be funny. That'd be even funnier if that scene was actually just him saying that to get him into his accent, and he didn't even you know what I mean? They were just rolling, and he just happened to say
again,
that.
It could well be. It also had the most F-bombs up to any film of that date.
Really?
1.21 a minute, just over 207 apparently.
Yeah.
There's also an interesting little, like, there was the chainsaw bit, the girl in the bikini. She, like, disappeared and said, like, there's a whole conspiracy thing about her, so that's something more people who are into that kind of stuff might want to look into in their own time.
Oh, that's an
I know
interesting
people love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of secret Hollywood type things. And Al Pacino trained with Roberto Duran, knife fighters and stuff like that, to learn how to actually kind of do it. So it's just it's a really cool kind of range of people involved, and what the kind of film gets into is it's impressive how it kind of still holds through. Tony complains about capitalism and says, "Do you know what capitalism is? It's getting," and then Alvera tells him a true capitalism if I ever met one. And the kind of gist of that, the point that's making is just, for a capitalist, it's only good if they're winning.
Yeah.
And it's just like all of these kind of criticisms and all of these kind of just logical inconsistencies in the way you have to kind of be cruelly self-interested to get to that kind of top position in that kind of world. But then when you become that egotistical, you kind of lose your discipline and you can't keep a real kind of perspective on the world anymore because you're living in a mansion. So there's all these kind of dichotomies going on in this stuff, which are just not, because there's nothing worse than when a film's preaching to you, or a book's preaching to you, or whatever, where you can just tell they're trying to hit you with a message, and it's just like, oh, shut up, like, just, like, smoking weed, like an after-school special.
Yeah.
This film doesn't do that, and it hits a lot better. It's like Requiem for a Dream. That's not really preaching, that's just trying to be real, and that hits as hard as anything I've seen. I wasn't about to go take
That's a good
heroin,
film to bring up, actually, yeah.
It was just like, nope, not going to now.
So you like this film?
Yeah.
You'd recommend it to someone?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Even though we already
There's other ones
recommended
from
it to
that
me.
era I'd probably say to go to first. Goodfellas to me is always the number one. Casino as well is an underrated film. I would say Casino's better than Godfather. Again, Pesci, De Niro, Sharon Stone, so that's kind of got everything going for it. But it's kind of a relic of a bygone era. And also, even though it's 2 hours 50, it does go by pretty quick. Like, I know a lot of the time we see, like, people of, like, our generation see films that are over, like, 2 hours, and we're just like, oh my god. Like, especially over 2.5.
Well, maybe you do. I don't. Actually, to be fair, if I look at something, it's like 250. I'm like, but when I'm in it, I'm all right. No, we took a couple of breaks.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and that did help.
It does.
It's the first time I've ever really watched a film actually properly taking breaks. Because usually when I'm in, I'm in. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
I might start doing that in the future because it actually worked out all right.
Yeah, I think it helps as well when we're actually trying to analyze it and just trying to make notes and stuff like that. Whereas, ideally, we'd watch it once and then just because we tried to do it where we went to the cinema and watched films that just came out. But obviously, it's just hard to keep in your head all the kind of different ideas that go through your mind while watching it.
Yeah.
So it's easier just to have like a kind of ongoing, dialogue with the film if you're taking some breaks and letting it sit with you and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I think we're going to get a lot more into the kind of themes and what stuck out to us about the film once we start in our other little features anyway, especially the rewrites one. I think we're both really excited about our ideas for that.
Oh, that's a nice little segue. So, rewrites! This is the segment of the Film Club. If you want to go check out the full Film Club, it'll be up on our YouTube. I don't know when it's going to be. Also, you can listen to it on various places wherever we put up the podcast at some point. We've got a Spotify.
Yeah, we'll do all that stuff.
We'll figure it out, and then you can follow it from there. But Rewrites is a fun segment we have where we replace the actors that are in the films, and we also replace the characters that would be in those films to kind of come up with different situations. It's kind of like a nice little exercise that we do because we love to mess around. Because also we think we could do it a lot better.
Yeah, and it's just fun to add some kind of different kind of hypotheticals and themes and just imagine them. Usually we end up taking the piss, but sometimes we're genuinely like, be better. Like, someone should be doing this. I think there's a couple of those out there today.
Though this one today is very hard to do, because I think Pacino nailed it. Mm-hmm. Like, he absolutely nailed it.
And the film
did he get any... sorry.
I was going to say, you just really put me on the spot again, then.
No, did he get any Academy nominations for this?
I'm checking
I feel like
now.
he should have done. If he didn't, that'd be a crime.
I don't think he did, and I feel like it was kind of a travesty. Yeah, no, he didn't.
God damn. Hollywood, do better, man. Well,
to be fair, 1973 nominated Best Supporting Godfather, 74 Serpico, Best Actor, Godfather 2, 75, Dog Day Afternoon, 76. God, he just absolute run he went on. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Again, I think this is partly to do with the he got a Golden Globe nomination. To be fair to
It was in '83, wasn't it?
Scarface is 84. The nominations, Best Actor Drama. But again, it was kind of at the time it was critically very. Before it even came out, there was a massive backlash to it, especially when because kind of I think a lot of people were expecting an ultra violent kind of, whereas there is violence in this, it's more selective and it's kind of very much to a point. Like it's not just to freak you out. This is the kind of realism of the world that they're living in at this point.
Okay.
But yeah, no, not much recognition for it at the time. It's one of those. In fact, Stephen Bauer, who was Manny, said he's quoted as saying Scarface was dead and buried until hip hop rediscovered it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Because they tried to do a re-release actually for a cinema re-release. The studio wanted to redo it with a load of rap songs that reference it, the soundtrack. And Brian De Palma said no. So obviously Brian De Palma don't like rap.
No.
Or he didn't want anyone to mess with his original.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't want either, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If that was me.
Do you know Shaq had a birthday party? Shaquille O'Neal had a Scarface-themed birthday party. He had Al Pacino in the white suit. He had Manny in his own clothes.
Wait, he actually got them there? Mm-hmm. Damn, how much money must that guy be making?
I think as well, it's just he's that fun. Like, and people are obsessed with sportsmen, especially athletes. Like, it's one of those worlds that there's a lot of crossover. Like, every comedian wants to be an actor, every actor wants to be a comedian.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with athletes, especially in America with basketball and football.
Yeah.
His mum, by the way, Al Pacino's mum, the actress who played him, how many years older than him do you reckon she was?
The one who played his mum in real life.
In the little...
I reckon she was maybe 5 years older.
4. Goodness.
Damn.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to do your first recast?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go for my first recast. And there's only one there's a few, but there's only one that I feel could kind of match his intenseness and ferocity in every scene at this time with that, and that would be Robert De Niro. Mm-hmm. I think he'd be someone who'd be completely on edge all the time, that would have you on edge, and I feel like he could possibly be a little bit more... you'd believe him a little bit more to be the guy who would be taking everything over. Because how tall is he? He's a lot. Yeah,
he's at least.
Is he another small dude?
I don't think he's tall, but I think he's closer to like the 6 foot kind of line.
Okay, yeah, I feel like he could kind of pack a punch a bit more than Tony Montana can in this.
But in this, I think that's actually really interesting because I think part of why you understand why Tony is so easily triggered, he's kind of got the classic small man. Like he's had to survive his whole life in Cuba. No wonder he became a killer. Like, imagine being that poor ass dude in Cuba. Like, you had to fight every kind of way, every bit of the way. Plus, I think Pacino really does well that kind of like feral intelligence, where it's just like he is a savage. He's not like been to uni and stuff, but you can tell there's some kind of
he knows
street smarts.
As he says, I was just about to say that. He's like, I know the streets out there, and I feel like De Niro would be one of those guys who kind of take that intensity and roll with it.
That's a great pick. I'll go with my first kind of relatively down the line pick actually, which is someone who's kind of got ever increasing kind of presence in the society nowadays. Is someone that kind of women actually got like a kind of became a bit of a kind of public thing that way. I want Oscar Isaac as my first name.
Oh, okay. You're bringing this into the day, into the new day.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of jumped about in time a bit because I've got a bit weird.
He'd be a great fit.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Well, again, he's done I think it's kind of violent or kind of something like that. He's done a fair few kind of gangster-y films, the suit thing, and he does do it well. Plus, I think he's got the kind of good looks, but could also just be kind of another dude in the background.
You can see him kind of being scrappy in it as well, using that sort of
the lying and the deceit. I think again he could be a lot more of a kind of smooth liar if they wanted to go in that direction.
I reckon it'd be a smoother like
the swag,
flirt.
smoother witch. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like that scene where they're at the bar and he's dancing with her. Like I reckon he could take that on the chin a lot better than Pacino can in that bit, and he's kind of playing along. I reckon he could make her laugh, like on camera. So I reckon that'd be like a really good. Yeah, it's fucking Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. He came to me late as a guest, but I was like, Oscar again. He's just
throw
good in
mine
everything.
out the window now. Actually, now they're all right. Because I went more around this time rather than now. Though I do have an interesting one at the end. I've got 4, but I'll go very small into the last one. Have you got any more on
No,
Oscar? No. Okay, so I've got another one. I don't know if he'd look the part, because I feel like it's kind of crossing over. I don't. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Because especially like late 70s, early 80s, Nicholson was A, on a roll.
Yeah.
B, great in anything that he was in. And I feel like he'd just always be kind of teetering about, and you do like the intensity that Nicholson would bring as well. It's just like, what's he going to do next?
Yeah.
Where's he going to go? How's he going to react to this? And like with Nicholson, when was The Shining? 80?
Yeah, I think around there.
So it's just
Maybe
around that time. Yeah, he'd have to sort his hair out, but I think he'd be a great gangster. Like a really great sort of mob boss. Plus, I'd love to see him in that end scene where he's getting shot and still standing and being like, "Yeah,
you can
come
see
on."
that just like growling at them. Yeah, I can definitely see him doing more of the that's that kind of on edge, and it just makes everyone on edge around him. So I think it might be actually a little bit less kind of relatable and carries. Like I don't think it wouldn't have hit. I don't think it would have hit with kind of rappers as big as it did if it was Nicholson. It's interesting, even though he's popular. But I think he could have definitely done kind of a more than serviceable job of it, especially in the middle of that run. Like,
I'd love to see his attitude during, like, the negotiation scenes when they're meeting one of the first big bosses. I can't remember his name in it. At the bit where the guy gets taken up in the helicopter.
Oh, yeah, Sosa. And his Omar
like
gets dropped.
Yeah, and that that chat beforehand, I'd love to kind of see Nicholson play about in that.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially going like a bit more kind of head to head as well during these kind of gang boss scenes and stuff. It's also weird to just see Nicholson as a inferior role. Do you know what I mean? Like, because he feels like he's usually the boss or usually a superior when you see him in films.
Yeah.
So to see him in there coming from nothing would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like he could just do the grimy element of it really well. So yeah, Nicholson's a great pick. There was a couple of people I kind of honourable mention-y kind of ones. Diego Luna was the guy who was actually rumoured to be in the reboot for years and years while this has been rumoured. And he would have been great.
Yeah.
So that would have been a nice pick.
Sorry, I've got someone just straight on the fly that I think would be really good. Who's the guy? What's the name of the guy who's just in The Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal. He's on my list.
Pedro Pascal.
That was my next.
No way.
No, yeah. He's because there's like a trio of kind of, you look at the working Latino workers, right, like actors right now, and there's kind of 4 or 5 names at the top, and it's just they're all like, I think I can kind of see. So I don't know if you know who Gael Garcia Bernal is. That's another just quick name to drop off. He's in that TV show Most There's a Jungle. He was in Y Tu Mama Tambien. He's kind of like a slim, usually quite benign and friendly looking South American guy, but again, it's just the kind of, he looks the part to the point, and again, you scar him up, you rough him up, you give him that part. He's been in a lot of really great independent films, so he's definitely got the acting chops.
Yeah.
And I just think he could very serviceably do that part again, because he can also very easily look young, so it just helps with a part like this. So yeah, I'll just quickly throw out like what do you got to throw out?
Throw them out there.
Yeah, and then you can give me another, and I'm just gonna keep. I might start blurting these out.
My final one of the males is Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh,
I'd love to see a young SLJ going on a rampage around Miami / Los Angeles, because it's actually Los Angeles.
That's true.
Just kind of seeing like all the energy that he'd have to give a completely different version of Tony, like, and also kind of playing on the race themes as well, being like properly black compared to like a Cuban refugee coming into that. I feel like it'd add an extra interesting dimension to the character of going from like rags to riches, being like this ultimate mob boss by the end of it. And like just like it was. I'm trying to think what else he was in around the 80s, and I'm drawing a complete blank. But I'd love to kind of see him come up from like the Jules Winfield sort of attitude, but back then when it's like what was that, like 10 years beforehand? So yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, my final pick.
Samuel's a great one. I should have also mentioned Michael Pena before. He was another honourable mention.
I can't say honourable.
In fact, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna just burn through some honourable mentions just because I kept thinking of random people. There's a skateboarder called Paul Rodriguez. And he'd be fucking great, even though he hasn't acted that much. Do you know Common from John Wick? Common 20 odd years ago. I can totally see him killing it.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of me, I wanted to go for Jeremy Renner as well, because I was just thinking which actors nowadays, in terms of intensity, they're at their best when they're just wired and mental the whole time.
Yeah.
But no, my actual pick is one that I don't think you kind of anticipate. I hope the name rings a bell. Edward Furlong, who is the kid from Terminator 2 and American History X. Mexican mum, Russian dad. He's got the heritage, just in terms of that element. Again, if you look at the run he had when he first came out, he was in, Terminator 2, then he was in American Heart with Jeff Bridges, Pet Sematary 2. He was in films with Meryl Streep, Kathy Bates. Then he did American History X, which I really, really liked. So, like, from an acting credibility point of view, I think he's definitely kind of had it at that time. It's a kind of sad reimagining history, because obviously he had a lot of drug issues and stuff like that at the time, but if this film could have, if this had came at the right time, maybe he could have had a different run of it. But I really just think he had everything going for him in the day, and it's just a sad state of affairs he couldn't make it. There was also just a fact about his that kind of really pissed me off / made me laugh, which is, do you remember in 2019 James Cameron was talking about the new Terminator films, and he said in all the media that Edward Furlong was going to be reprising the role. So obviously people freak out, that's amazing, blah blah blah. What actually happens was in Dark Fate, they used his facial likeness in CGI with a CGI stand-in called Jude Colley. He was in 1 day of filming for facial capture performance. And I was just like, James Cameron. Like, sorry, but that's just disgusting. That's just like absolutely like playing with your audience with no like
when you don't have to.
And by the way, 1 day of facial capture performance means they did nothing. You can't. What are you even gonna get? Like, I bet he's smiling.
I bet that's literally where they come in and do that.
They would have just
thing
masked
and
him.
Just like,
they would have just modelled his head. So it's just bull crap. Like,
which is probably like an hour of taking pictures.
I know. So I was just annoyed by that. So I just wanted to bring it up because also I don't like James Cameron. I don't think anybody in Hollywood does. But, like Amy.
But he keeps making big films.
Big was the right word. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey had a great joke at the Golden Globes where they were like, it was about Catherine Bigelow. They were talking about how she definitely deserves something because she managed to stay married to James Cameron for 10 years. And like everyone in the audience would just die, and I was just like, oh, didn't know James Cameron was but I guess that's why I like comedy roasts.
Common knowledge.
So like roast and talk show and stuff, because you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't think that guy was but apparently so.
Oh, I reckon most of them are. They have to be.
Possibly. I mean, I think part of it as well is you've got to be so goddamn insecure. I mean, it's got to make you so insecure that, like, you just... every defense mechanism you possibly have is going to get activated. Yeah. Because what you're doing is just as, personally, it's not like difficult, but it's just as kind of awkward and putting yourself out there as most anything else you can do. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one final one before we go into the character replacements. And I was thinking, I wanted to gender swap it. And I was trying to think, if they were going to do it now, who would be able to kind of pull off like the character, like realistically, and there's only one name that really came to my mind because I'm still thinking of them being quite young. Like I was thinking like Emma Stone maybe, and I was like, I don't know about that. I was thinking, who else did I have in mind first? I was thinking Saoirse Ronan. I was like, maybe not, and only because based on like one performance that I know of, where she's really gritty. That's supposed to be a clue. Haley Steinfeld.
Oh, True Grit. Yeah. I really liked her in that film. Again, I brought her up last week, though. Who did I bring up last week would be better?
I can't remember.
Michelle Rodriguez. Literally, by definition. Gina Carano would be good, too. Yeah. Like, there are a fair few girls out there who could do a really interesting version of this.
And I don't know whether I'd like to see a gender swap version more if it was going to be brought into the modern. Then again, I think you've taken it with Oscar Isaac. Like, for me now, if they were going to remake it, it has to be Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, it's just, it works on every angle. Like, it works from a kind of public point of view and a sales point of view, and in terms of, if anything, it's just that he's slightly too old. But then you just do all this CG.
I think it's right time.
20 years younger of him.
I reckon he looks younger than Pacino did back in the 80s when he did it.
I think you could get away with it more though then, like, because now Pacino doesn't look young when he first goes over. But they just kind of dress him in flowery shirts and stuff, and you're just like, that's fine. I get that it's the beginning of the film. But now it's like people expect CG and all that kind of, like, you don't want to see any wrinkles and all that kind of stuff if someone's... Yeah. So I think...
get some old makeup in. Do it old-fashioned.
Yeah, do it the old school way. I'm down with that.
Right. You got any more, or shall we go into character replacements?
No, let's go into it.
You want to go first?
I can do, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you my relatively straight-of-the-line one first, which is... The character I would put into this film, basically, because the way we were thinking about it, just to be quick about it, is like, they've got to kind of fit with the same kind of themes, overline story, or you can kind of combine the two, make it your own kind of version of it.
Okay,
I think Matt's kind of
I've taken some liberties with mine, I must admit.
But I do this every week, so it's fine. It's usually me taking the piss, just doing what I think is funny. So my first one I thought would be great would be Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York, which is the Martin Scorsese film with Leo DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis. Bill the Butcher is, you meet him kind of towards the end of his life. He's running this area, which is kind of New York. He's massively intimidating, but there's hints of some stuff in the film, but we don't really find much about his origin. And I just think a film getting to kind of the early stages of that character's life, where he goes from, a son of a butcher, just a kind of regular guy on the street, to basically running New York and, stood alongside politicians and all these kind of people with equal power in that city.
Yeah.
Would be like a really interesting journey. And it's the same kind of locale thing that you've got Scorsese's massive New York set. I just keep it and just have him do like kind of the growing up element of it there.
Okay.
And I like the kind of historic thing of it too. So just the way crimes were kind of done then, how gangs were run, how gangs interacted with each other, that kind of stuff would be interesting to me.
Okay, no, I like that one.
Cool.
So taking liberties with mine. I've got three. There's two of them are very different. The last one I know you're gonna hate, but I think you'll like the story. So anyway, don't mind. So my first pick.
It's a comic book.
My first pick is Tom Hardy's Bronson.
I literally thought about this film. I can't believe you actually did. I genuinely thought about this film, and I was like, I can't make that work.
The only thing is that I've put as an English refugee.
So wait, we send him to America?
No, what I think's happened, right? So taking this, Bronson's managed to escape some sort of high prison, right? He's ended up in Cuba for a couple of years.
Good spot.
He then gets in the mix with some refugees who are then being shipped out to America, and then he's like, "What the am I going to do here?" So then he finds his mate or something. He's like, "Oh, long time no see." I'm trying to do a London accent.
Yeah, it's just instead of being Manny, it'd be like
it'd just be Tom Hardy's Bronson.
Yeah.
So then he just goes through the exact same story, just as an English brute.
I was going to say just as a colossal football hooligan, basically.
Yeah. So he starts making all the money and he sees the girl at the club.
I was going to say it'd be hilarious watching him chat. I was going to say that's going to be the best bit of the film for me.
And then he's dancing and stuff, and she's like, "You're going to have to shave."
Sorry, I was dancing. No, I wasn't pointing. I was doing Bronson dancing.
Yeah, and he's doing all this and stuff. She's like, "You're going to have to shave that," and he's like, "I don't think I'm going to do anything." But yeah, and then him at the end going, "What the are you shooting me for?" And he's just taking bare shots right at the end.
Oh my god, I can see that. I can see it so well.
It'd
be a good comedy version, wouldn't it? It'd
that's
be great.
What I mean. Like it wouldn't be like
what we need to do is we just need to dub over it and just dub it with like the most like London or like some proper like scouse geezer.
And I've got
now.
Also, I've got some names for each of these.
Oh, I like this. I didn't bother with this.
It's only because I've got one stupid one that I was like, I'll do it for all of them. So this one's called Behind Bars Face. Like Scarface,
okay.
Behind Bars
I like
Face.
It rhymes, just about.
They get better or worse? I don't know.
We'll have to find out.
Okay, so who else have you got?
My second one, I'll go for a bit more of a complicated one. It's a film, I think I brought it up yesterday, we were together actually, a film called District 9.
Okay.
So basically this film is a South African sci-fi film, which is really, really well regarded. It wasn't that expensive, but looks amazing. Basically uses aliens as kind of a metaphor for black people and people of colour.
Yeah.
Aliens show up in South America, they get put in slums, they don't get healthcare, they don't get rights, blah, 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 blah. But basically I thought... so now...
Wait, so who's the character?
Well, so
are we taking one of the aliens?
We're taking him from... So it's not from Cuba to America, it's from Earth to space. It wasn't actually that. It was actually just I wanted him as a prawn. So Pacino's a prawn and he's trying to make it in the business world. Prawns are what they call aliens. Yeah, watch District 9. It's a great film. It's on Netflix. But basically, again, it's hitting on a lot of those same themes of just social isolation, not fitting in, discrimination, kind of ego, what rights people deserve, kind of how society doesn't protect versus does protect some people who don't deserve protecting. So I just think all of those plus the alien element is just pretty funny. So, and then redlining, healthcare. I still have all those kind of points I want to make, and that film makes a lot of those points better than films that are documentaries about those things.
Yeah.
But it's just people don't realize they're getting a lecture about redlining when they're watching District 9, but they actually are.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my second pick.
Okay. This is when we go into controversial
We're getting
territory.
crazy now. My last one's retarded.
So, remember
can't
before
say
the podcast I was saying there's a character I have in mind who's not even the main character of the film they're in? This is this character. And his name is Lots the Hugging Bear from Toy Story 3.
Okay, I haven't even seen Toy Story 3. You're going to have to explain this one for the viewer.
Okay, so I suppose, do you mind me spoiling Toy Story 3? So Lots of Hugging Bear is actually the main villain of the film, who has got the daycare center that they're in. He forces the Toy Story gang, to kind of be the toys that the toddlers play with, which is basically the worst thing. And he keeps them up in cages and stuff. But the only reason why he's kind of so like that is because he got lost. He's a lost toy.
Oh.
So he's technically a refugee teddy bear. Who's trying to find his own way in life after being deported from his home, and ends up in the daycare center, which is like the USA. And from there, I'm making my own story from this point, but it also kind of does lead to what actually happens in the film. So from there, he kind of rises through the ranks and then becomes like the main teddy bear, who is the villain at the end of it. But it's just this idea of this refugee teddy bear who then has to kind of make his way, and he ends up going from nothing to the top of the daycare, who then gets everyone else to do his own bidding, and he kind of does what he wants, and he loses the whole point of, what he was trying to do in the first place, which was just to be loved and hugged and played with children and stuff, and now he's created this tyranny that he can't control, and I thought it kind of hit the same sort of...
It's weird you say that. I genuinely considered Paddington for a few minutes before because I was on the same kind of thing, but then I was like, nah, I'm not doing that one. Not going to happen.
Sorry. In my notes, I'd put because I added a little extra bit, and there was already a rule of Sunnydale called Tickle Me Elmo, and he was the one who threw that guy out of the regime and made his own regime. And this one would be called Bareface.
Okay. It is. Bareface works. I can see where you're going with these.
Yeah.
I see the theme.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I'll pass the torch back over to you.
Yeah, cool. My next, I've got two honorable mentions and two I like. So I'll give you one of the ones I like, and then I'll just give you the honorable ones at the end because they're only really quick. The next one, not my favorite, my second one is Slumdog Millionaire, the character of Jamal Malik, who's Dev Patel's character. So basically, just melding these worlds, a lot of the same kind of themes about class and society, and where do you fit in. Kind of intelligence as well, but street intelligence, and memory. And then I like the kind of smash of worlds of kind of the India and the America and the Cuba and all these kind of different things going on. So I actually I've deliberately actually not thought this idea out in terms of I don't want to limit myself into which way I would go with it, but I just think in a way there's a way to kind of smash these two films together, maybe lose the millionaire element, but some kind of answer these questions because your life's on the line thing, and then
at some point he does become a millionaire by the end of it.
I mean, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire element from Slumdog.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't really need the game show part of it, I don't think. But I just think those films kind of coincide quite well. Visually as well, there's kind of a lot of the same things being done. Danny Boyle does a lot of kind of transition in between shots things, and he does a lot of effects to do with the kind of just colour and there's a lot of India as a character just as much as Miami as a character. So I just think they're kind of kindred spirits, those films, and I could really smash them twos together and just come up with something nice.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
What, for my last one?
Yeah.
See, I just realised, this is... I think I've messed it up a little bit, because they've maybe not been in a film before.
Who is this? Is this a real person?
So the first idea that came into my head that I was so proud of was Ronald McDonald.
Oh, because we had one of our categories. Okay.
And it was the idea of this young man trying to make a name for himself as a clown, goes to Miami to try and make it big.
Sorry, keep going. I don't need to laugh.
So he gets into crime, right? But then the real front, like the legitimate business to launder the money,
McDonald's is a
McDonald's.
I like this.
Yeah. So then
I feel like we're going to get sued just saying this, though. I'm a little bit afraid.
So, but then the other idea is that there's other drug lords around there, such as
BK.
Big BK.
BK.
And he just like takes the business from underneath his feet, starts putting it into McDonald's, and that's how.
And then Nando's and Subway turn up and just usurp them.
Very much.
Yeah.
And I'd love the idea of this aspiring clown, which I've just realised an aspiring clown guy going around committing murders and stuff is the Joker.
True. You have a good
so
point.
imagine a Joker-like thing mixed into Scarface. That is
Joker would be perfect, just literally Joker. Because again, that's another life story, up to down, down to up to down, basically.
Yeah.
So I think those two work really well together, yeah.
And it'd be called Scareface.
Scareface. I like the themes. I'll let myself down. What would mine be? Slum face, butch face, and district face. Or like space face. Space face.
Oh,
prawn
space
face. Prawn face I like.
I like space face.
I know.
Oh, man.
Okay, 2 honourable mentions that are really quick. Daniel Plainview, which is There'll Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis's character again. That's where I mentioned him too much, but again, that's a from broke to rich to nothing story, but against the American oil boom.
Okay.
And to do with him and his kid trying to get by, but it's a really kind of... There's really similar to this kind of film, actually, in terms of the character kind of going full psycho at the end and just losing all sense of who they were at the beginning. But I think that would be a great one. No, I was just saying, I wasn't actually going to do the Miguel from Coco one, but I brought it up to you before, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a fun idea.
Yeah.
So I just
thought you wanted to make one up on the spot?
Well, I was like, we'll just talk it through together, see what we can come up with.
Maybe we should add this to it. We always just come up with one together
extra
at
one
the
that
end.
we make up at the
yeah,
end. We've really enjoyed that film together. We both watched it a couple of times.
Oh, Coco?
Yeah, we watched it in the cinema together. It was funny, we watched it, and we were like sat next to each other, and I think independently we were each kind of like tearing up or crying a bit, but trying not to. We didn't know until we all left, and we were like, you cried? You cried? Yeah. We all cried.
We cried.
I didn't know she cried. We all cried.
We can all cry in this day and age.
Yeah, that film needs it. If you don't cry to that film, I just don't know what's wrong with you.
I know.
Like, that's basic musical programming. It should work on you.
Yeah.
So, it's your fault. But yeah, just
Mama Coco.
combining those worlds, South American thing is already there.
South American
the Day
thing.
of the Dead thing. Maybe he has some kind of like psychosis where he talks to his dead relatives.
Okay, this is what I got straight away. So it's Miguel, 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
He's
deported.
changed his name to Tony.
No, he's been deported to America. Wait, no, you can't get deported.
No, yeah, he goes to America.
He goes to America because all of the shoe business.
He wants to find his way.
Shoe business went out of.
He's finding his way as a musician.
Oh, okay. So he's going as a musician to America, and he's doing a couple of gigs and stuff, and it's not really working out. And
Gets recruited by smugglers. This is what I'm thinking.
trying to-
Goes back and forth in his guitar case. He's just got lines of coke.
No,
then he gradually becomes top of the game.
What if? Wait, there's got to be a sub story to it because that's because of Scarface's mate gets chopped up. So he is on the streets, kind of thing. He's got his dog with him.
Oh no! Don't kill his dog. Don't kill his dog.
with
I'm not ready for this.
And
Take it back.
there's
I'm
other
happy with my idea.
musicians.
No,
There's other
he's a
musicians.
cokehead. We're not killing his dog.
Fine. All right, we're not killing his dog, but his dog gets lost
Okay, fine. We can
in
do
a
that.
freak accident.
No. No, I know what that means. His dog didn't go to the farm. His dog hasn't gone to see his auntie.
Okay. So I'm thinking some some like roughing up of this Miguel outside of a thingy, and he gets
He loses an eye.
he loses.
And he's got a big scar going through it.
He's just called Miguel. So, what does he do from there? He's got to try and find some money for the rent, so he starts selling drugs. Realises he has a lot of friends who can buy the drugs off him, so he starts getting a bit more money, and then he sees someone who's doing it legitimately, so he's like, or not legitimately, he's doing it pretty well. And he's like, I'll do a job for you, and he's like, how are you going to do it? And he's like, if I do this concert for you, you can front it as this thing, and then he becomes...
kill some guy.
Yeah, and you can kill... When I hit this note, you kill someone.
Oh, we like it.
Yeah.
Because then we'll make
So then
fireworks go, cover the sound.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think how we can use the dead friends. Not friends, relatives.
Dead family. They give him counsel. Like, he sleeps
I'm
and he talks
thinking
to his
he
dead
uses
relatives.
them to try and find
For
out
advice.
people. So it's like, I need you to be a ghost so that you can
Oh, like
pinpoint
that.
where this person is, because I'm the only person who can see the ghosts.
But I think we can keep it slightly more realistic and just have it be like he sleeps and he talks to his dead relatives. They give him advice,
Okay.
and that's kind of
Alright.
like that's kind of like how he makes his decisions because everything works for him. So maybe he starts listening to them, and then they start telling him bad shit because it's his dream. So his
Okay.
granddad's like, "Look, you just need to go in the morning, go to the station, do this," and it actually randomly pays off. And then he's like, "Okay, this sleep thing works."
Okay.
And then he ends up just following the voices like to a fault. So like Morty does when he's following
the death
the
crystal.
stone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we're crossing over with Rick and Morty too.
Jessica. Okay, that's fun.
Hello, Jessica.
Oh, Jessica.
Jessica.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, we can continue. We could talk about this idea for hours, but it's already got great legs underneath it.
I'm trying to think where it goes to.
Oh, how does it kind of wrap up?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he just has to go out in a ball. But again, we show him, he dies, he goes on the floor, then we show him go up and meet his dead.
I was going to say, if he dies, he does it from an overdose.
I didn't expect that. I thought that was good. I see what you mean. Like, it is the classic musician's death.
Yeah. No. I'm thinking he only overdoses for a bit, and then he comes back to life again. So that's like the
And then,
moment
do you know
where
the
he
people?
has a chat with
Wasn't
them.
there
And
that
they're
film?
like, you can't do this life anymore.
There was that film a few years ago as well, where there was people who kept making themselves die and bringing themselves back. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So this is how he talks to them. Because it had Ellen Page in it.
Yeah.
He kills himself and comes back to life to torture his dead
I
relatives.
can't remember what it was called, but I always thought that was a cool premise.
Do not steal this idea.
Yeah, Hollywood. We did it here first.
All of you 7 viewers.
Wait, so how's the film end? He goes straight. He manages to finally get a decent concert.
I think he just dies at peace. That's the best way to go. He just peacefully lets himself go, and then we show him like ascending up towards his family, like
Up to
arms
Coco.
outstretched.
And Coco's
Yeah,
there
Coco's
with his
there.
arms stretched
Exactly,
out and
crying
everything.
again. We've got this. I'm crying now.
And then the dad. what was his actual granddad called, or his great grandfather?
Ernesto de la Cruz, not the other one.
Hector.
Hector, yeah.
Yeah, and he's
Hector's
like,
there.
I knew I'd see you again soon, and then they embrace,
And
and
Hector
then
just
they.
slaps him. He's like,
What are you doing?
We don't do drugs in his family.
We only do shoes.
Okay, this is a fun thing though. We're gonna do off the cuff. We'll make ourselves come up with ideas.
Oh,
For
maybe
one
we should
as
do
well.
another one.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, I'll tell you my last idea and we'll see if we can work it out together.
I thought you'd done your last.
No, I've got my last one. I've literally just got one my
I'm
most
sorry,
crazy
dude.
one that I was saving. I was more excited to talk about the Miguel one. To be fair,
Yeah.
Now my last idea is okay. This is retarded. This might annoy you.
Okay.
This is it's a crossover with Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, where I want Pacino to be the Oompa Loompa, the Chocolate Factory in Wonka. Wait, bear with me here. The Chocolate Factory in Wonka represent the establishment, the U.S. government, the system in place. The Oompa Loompas get brought in kind of against their will. They're trying to work their way out. They're trying to find some kind of justice. They end up making this kind of like
They're very tan.
black market thing within the actual Oompa Loompa community.
Okay.
Then they start doing things outside of it where they're trying to get in the outside world, but obviously they've got to deal with the Willy Wonka establishment security and what the rest of the world is kind of racist against Oompa Loompas. Because obviously they would be, wouldn't they? If there was in a real world where Oompa Loompas exist. There's no way we wouldn't be racist against Oompa Loompas. So this is a whole Willy Wonka crossover. We do some drugs, chocolate, it's just as addictive as maybe that's how they like post the stuff is like.
Wait,
that's how they transport.
You know what I'm thinking they do? I'm thinking Charlie is now at this point with Willy Wonka doing stuff,
Maybe Charlie's
and
Manny.
they kill Charlie as a message, right?
Charlie's Manny.
So then it's a full-on war between Wonka and the Oompa Loompas, and then they finally kill him because he's like the final boss.
What
and
the
then...
golden ticket's actually for? Maybe there's like some kind of company that's a front for the mob of the mafia, and the golden ticket is like a job opportunity there. And then Charlie wins it, goes in, sees the plight of the Oompa Loompas, and he's like, "Look, we can't have this happen."
Wait, is he on their side then?
Originally, Charlie. Well, I didn't think about it. Well, Charlie's maybe Manny, and then Oompa Loompa is Pacino.
Okay.
Where the Charlie's like, "Look, you need to kind of the
So
kind of
Charlie
voice
helps
of reason."
the Oompa Loompas overtake Wonka,
Yeah.
and then the Oompa Loompas
Go rogue.
drown him
Yeah, the Oompa Loompas go rogue.
for sleeping with his
Well, it's
own
the first time they've ever
sister.
had any power. They're a like subservient species, so they don't know how to deal with it. So they just go mental. So that's my actual last one. I don't know how to save it or make it more seriously, but it's just fun, like just to do this little kind of game where we just talk through this shit and just see where these ideas lead us.
Oh man.
I genuinely just think half of these are pretty funny, and it's good just because as well you start to extract the kind of main themes, what the film's trying to really get across to you.
Yeah.
Which you sometimes don't really think about as much when you just kind of sit there through it. Was it entertaining or not? Which this film does qualify for, but it's also kind of, it's got a lot else going for it.
Yeah.
That was fun though. I wasn't sure what we were going to be able to come up with for the rewrites because it's harder with a film that's as revolving around one person and there.
I thought that was the best one yet.
That was fun.
If I do say so myself.
I still back our. I like our John Wick one.
Have we done a proper rewrites of that though?
I don't think so now, to be fair, but it's similar enough.
We could always talk about it in a couple of weeks because it's just an excuse to watch all the John Wick films again.
This is true.
And I
keep
love
having
all
to
the John
resist
Wick
it 'cause
films.
I'm like, come on, like, watch something new.
Yeah, because I've got all 3 of them on Netflix now.
Ooh, yeah, I know it's bad news. I didn't need this to happen.
Oh man!
Oh, it's your recommendation. That's the last thing, isn't it?
You just beat me to it. Beat me by a pip. So it's my recommendation this week. I am filling some big shoes here. So I've got 4 recommendations, very different films. So I've got one that keeps the theme of crime and all this kind of stuff that you've seen before, but it's more for me. So I feel like we can watch this some other point. I thought I'd throw it out there. It's Goodfellas.
Thought you were going to do that.
Yep. The film that I've been raving about that I'd love to talk about is called Knives Out.
Oh, yeah?
Film that originally we both hated from the filmmaker. They brought out a new one, then that didn't get as much thingy. Midsommar. Yep. And then there's one more, something that I've always been interested to watch, never got round to, that I just saw on Netflix before, which is Bird Box.
Oh, the Sandra Bullock one.
The Sandra Bullock one. So you have 4 to choose from. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to... No, you can do whatever you
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, it's honestly between... So, it's not Bird Box.
Okay.
What were the other ones? It's between Goodfellas...
Goodfellas, Knives Out, and Midsommar.
Is Knives Out on any streaming things?
No.
I'll let you pick between Goodfellas and Knives Out, because I can just get a download if you like.
I know where I can find stuff.
Yeah.
I know we were going to try and stick to Netflix and other thingies, which is why I also
But
said
Knives Out is
Midsommar.
relatively recent, which is why I'm not bothered.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about Knives Out with you more than Goodfellas.
Okay, that's fine.
But if you want to choose Goodfellas, I'm still down for that.
No, to be fair, the Goodfellas, it's similar. I mean, it's similar for a week-to-week thing, but I'm happy saving that for kind of somewhere down the line.
Plus, we can kind of go into some sort of mystery killer sort of vibes, and feel like we could get some good stories from that. So, if you're up for that, if you're down for that,
well, yeah, and it's
are you
also
up
the
or are
cast.
you down?
Ana de Armas is in Knives Out, isn't she?
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool, good. Sorry, I'm still thinking about like 40 minutes on. Oh, I just gave the game away in a big way.
Is she the one who's the thingy you were talking about? The girl who's in the Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Anyway,
wait, is that who I'm thinking of? Are you definitely sure that's the right person?
Which I think she's in Knives Out. I'm sure I saw she was. This is not needed to go out, by the way. Yeah, she's in it. She's coming up.
Is she the main girl?
She's dark-haired. I can't show you my laptop because I have to move everything.
Oh yeah, hang on. Let me just come over here.
She's this girl.
Yeah!
Yeah.
I think. It looks weird upside down.
That's true. If I was weirder, straight side up.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm excited for that. Knives Out has been chosen one. Guys at home, if you want to join in with us for the film club, watch Knives Out. You've got some homework next week. Let's watch Knives Out together. Let's talk about it next week. Mm-hmm. This has been this episode of the Film Club. Have you had a good time?
Yeah, it's been good.
Well, you know what we need? We need a big box of popcorn so we could just kind of keep eating popcorn and stuff.
That would piss people off. It pissed me off in the biggest way. I was going to say, don't even do it. Worst thing.
Okay, worst idea ever. Don't you guys get popcorn? We'll just
That's true.
We'll just sweat.
We'll save it when we eat.
Yeah, because
we can open a window now.
We're skinny boys, and we're watching our weight.
Oh my god! Can that even go on YouTube? I think we just got demonetized. Sucks. Anyway.
Okay, I've been Matt.
I've been Dill.
We've been the Film Club boys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
I need to drop the. I don't know why I keep doing this thing. It's very 90s.
You should do your own sound effect.
Is that my thing?
It could be your thing. You can have it.
I'll just have like a whip noise as I do it, like a Clint Eastwood thing.
I'm gonna do like a W for
Oh, smooth. That's dated.
I was gonna say
try and cut
for
that
a
out.
winner.
Oh,
but like also.
I think we're going.
Also
wanker.
Also for a winning smile.
Oh. and a winning personality.
Oh!
I know.
Oh, look at this
What
boy.
a nice way to end.
Look at my face. I'm just looking at it in this, and I'm sweating so much.
I know, it's the forehead. It's where not mine, not yours. I wasn't just like, yeah, you are sweating. You're gross, mate.
Gosh.
Man, I'm also sweating. But we're in like a greenhouse. In the
Essentially.
Weird, like,
you know what could
weird
grow in a
summer
greenhouse?
Don't. Mate.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.